back to Lists, where we're counting down the top 10 guilty pleasures. We have completed our numbers 10 through 6, and we are here for part 2, which is our top 5. If you haven't had a chance to catch the first part of this episode, I'm going to go ahead and highly recommend it because
it's been fun so far.
It has been fun, and definitely at one point I had to wipe away a tear. I was laughing pretty good there.
Yeah,
you're getting some good background stories on both of us here. So,
and some awesome, terrible things to watch and read and listen to.
Awesome, terrible things. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the back end of this has been interesting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been something.
It's been interesting.
I'm looking forward to the top 5.
So yeah, I'm very much looking forward to the top 5.
Yeah.
So let's just get into it, man. I'm going to kick it over to you. Give us your number 5, Scott.
All right. So my number 5, I've got a movie, and man, I love this movie. I feel no guilt. This is fantastic. I'm sorry. So it came out in 1985.
1985. Okay.
That's right. And there were a lot of so bad they're good, cheesy action movies from the 80s. But this is the crown jewel. This is the crown jewel.
Oh, boy. All right.
So if you're going to have the crown jewel of cheesy, bad, but awesome action movies, it, of course, has to star Arnold Schwarzenegger, which it does.
Oh, man.
That's right. I'm going Commando. Directed
you just
by Mark L. Lester.
I'm going Commando.
That's right. You like that pun? That was on purpose.
No, it was
give me my credit for that. It absolutely was.
It's so full of shit. That was not on purpose.
It was on purpose. He gives me no credit for my wit, listeners.
If you know what, when it's there, I give you credit. That was not on purpose. That was a fortunate byproduct. All right, Scott is going Commando.
I'm going Commando at number 5. Directed by Mark L. Lester. I got to get it out. All right. So, Commando stars Arnold Schwarzenegger as Colonel John Matrix. Have you seen Commando, by the way?
Of course I've seen Commando. Are you shitting me?
Okay, I'm just making sure.
There's a bear shit in the woods.
Yeah. A great score, again, by James Horner, who did The Rocketeer.
Wow.
It was the 7th highest grossing R-rated movie of 1985.
Wow, fascinating.
There you go. A very young child actress, Alyssa Milano, plays Arnold Schwarzenegger's daughter in the movie.
That's right.
Yep. So what is the plot of Commando? Commando, a retired Special Forces colonel, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger,
to wear underwear.
His former unit has been killed, right? And then an ex-member of his team is maybe behind it, and he kidnaps his daughter. And so it's this revenge,
son of a bitch,
action movie thing. And in pure 80s fashion, it is he murders hundreds of people on screen. There's just action scene after action scene. There's barely anything in between the action scenes. And
John Wick can suck it.
Oh, absolutely. And every 5th kill or so is accompanied by a hilarious one-liner. Delivered only as Arnold can do it. So I want to go through some one-liners that are my favorites from the movie.
You know what? I like this. Do it.
All right. So early on in the movie, there's one of the bad guys is named Sully. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is talking to him. He's kind of getting away. And he's like, "You're a funny guy, Sully. I like you. That's why I'm going to kill you last." All right. So that's a setup for later. Later in the movie, he catches up to Sully. Right? There's like a car chase. And he gets him and he grabs him by his ankles and he dangles him over a cliff. Right? And he's asking him, he's, torturing him for information. And he's a wimp. And so Sully tells Arnold Schwarzenegger what he needs to know. And he goes, "Hey, remember, Sully, when I promised to kill you last? I lied." And then he drops him. which is amazing. And then he walks back to the car with the girl he's picked up along the way. And she goes, "Hey, where's Sully?" And he deadpan looks sort of at her, sort of at the camera. "I let him go." Just fantastic.
I'm A+ for the Arnold impersonation.
Oh, thank you. Oh, it's so good. So these are the types of things that you can expect in watching Commando.
Oh, man.
Oh, and also this movie came out 1 year after Terminator.
That's right.
And in the movie, he says, "I'll be back, Bennett," which is the first time, he said that in something other than Terminator. And it kind of started the trend of, him saying that in his other movies. Yeah. And so, spoiler alert, at the end of the movie, after he's won and gotten his daughter back and killed everyone, the backup, like the army, arrives on the scene. And the colonel's like, "Matrix, you leave anything for us?" And his last line in the movie, he looks at the colonel and he goes, "Just bodies." So, and the climactic action scene, just to give you an idea what you're getting into, is Arnold Schwarzenegger strapping himself with more ammo than any human being you'd think could possibly wear, and like 15 guns, and attacking the bad guy's compound single-handedly that's guarded by like 150 dudes, and he kills them all. And it's fantastic.
Are you suggesting that there's any suspension of disbelief involved in that? I buy it.
Oh, there is none. You buy it. And one of my other favorites, he gets on an airplane. He's like tracking down, trying to find his daughter or whatever. And there's one of the bad guys on there, and he kills him. Right, he snaps his neck in the seat, and then he like puts a little hat low on his face and puts a little blanket up high on him. And then the stewardess walks by and he goes, Miss, don't disturb my friend. He's dead tired." Oh, anyway, I could go on all night about Commando. I love that movie.
Line.
It's so good.
Oh, man.
So, yeah.
Good choice.
That is the ultimate cheesy Arnold Schwarzenegger action movie, Commando. If you have not seen it yet, get some friends, drink some drinks, watch this movie, and have a really fun time.
Man, in the world of like Schwarzenegger movies, that one gets not nearly.
That one gets lost in the shuffle.
It does, and it should not.
No, it's awesome. It knows exactly what it is, and it goes full on 100% commitment to it, and it's great.
I love it. Yeah, Commando. I remember that, dude. That was what our childhood was, right? It was like one steroided out dude destroying an entire. Man. And honestly, I think I'm not going to get political here, but I do really think the 80s are responsible for a lot of our gun laws right now, because there's an entire generation of men who think that it's completely within their abilities and their power to destroy an entire army by themselves.
With a gun.
And absolutely no training, nothing but their sense of being tread upon.
And their training was watching Commando.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, it's pretty good training.
Yeah, it's good training. All right. All right, so that's my number 5. Your turn.
That's a good number 5. All right.
Thank you. I'm happy with it. Yeah.
So my number 5, I'm going to go back to a book.
Okay.
All right.
Boring. All right, no, go ahead.
So remember how I said we were going to return to Ethan Hawke way back in the first part?
Ash Wednesday.
Yes, you got it.
Bam! That, listeners, is called Knowing My Friend. All right, go ahead. Sorry. I totally stepped on your toes.
No, good call. You nailed it. So, yes, I'm coming back to it. My choice at number 5 is a novel that Ethan Hawke, the actor, wrote, and it is called Ash Wednesday. Now, a little bit of background here.
Yep.
Usually, when people who are not trained novelists write a novel, and they kind of cash in on their celebrity a little bit in order to get said novel published.
It's usually not so good.
It's an abomination. And I will say this, and I would say it to him if he was right in front of me, and I respect his body of work greatly. His first novel is hot garbage. Like steaming hot garbage. His second novel, Ash Wednesday, actually, it has been a while since I read it, so I'm not going to attest to it.
Yeah, me too.
Listen,
me too.
This is not a literary classic, okay? But when I was in college as an English major, which is part of why this is a guilty pleasure, and I remember a professor laughing at me because I was reading it in class. And he was like, "How's that novel by Ethan Hawke?" And I was like, "Yeah, it's actually pretty good, guy."
Yeah, it's actually pretty good, asshole. All right.
Anyway, so my dad came to visit me in Austin, and he was telling me about, he had just on the flight there had read in the newspaper this really glowing review of Ash Wednesday, and it compared it to The Catcher in the Rye, that's lunacy. And honestly, I don't see the comparison at all.
No, not really.
I don't understand that comparison. I disagree with it. But anyway, obviously hearing that as a, English major and as a 19-year-old, that I thought, wow, that sounds interesting. I mean, and I was really skeptical. I said, "Dad," it's like, "come on, this is written by Ethan Hawke, really? The guy from Reality Bites?" He said, I know. So anyway, we were walking down the drag in Austin, and there was a Barnes & Noble there at the time. I have no idea if it's still there. I doubt it very much. And we walked inside, and sure enough, because Ethan Hawke spends a lot of time in Austin, I think, there were all these like signed copies. So there was was like a huge display of this book, and my dad was like, "Oh, holy crap, here it is." And he bought it and like didn't even ask me if I wanted it, just gave it to me. And so just for what, it was there, I read it, and I actually really, really enjoyed it. And it's about a young guy who is in the military, and he's just a shitbag. Like, he can't get his life together. He does coke like recreationally. He's not an addict or anything. He's just extremely immature, extremely stupid. He's just stupid. He's, he's a man child, and he's hot tempered. He lacks anything that you would look for in marriage material, I would imagine, right? And so it's told in alternating chapters between him and his girlfriend. And it does a really nice job of giving them each unique voices. And they are... So what ends up happening is she is pregnant with his child. And it has to figure out what to do. So she's going to take a bus back to Texas to be with her mom and figure it out and raise the child with her mother and not with him, because they have this on again, off again relationship. He's obviously too immature. She's too immature. They don't get along. It's not a good relationship. And he decides that he's going to grow up. He's going to become a man. So he goes, and at the bus station, he asks her to marry him, which is corny. She shoots him down, tells him he's an idiot. And he says, "Okay, well, at the very least, let me drive you to your mom's." Right. And so it's a road trip novel.
It's like a road movie, coming of age romance mix, right?
And along the way, they have these huge fights and these moments where you see why they actually care about each other. And along the way, they both kind of prepare to become adults.
I remember thinking it was quite good.
I think maybe because your expectations are low going into it, that that's part. Or maybe it's just that it's good. I don't know. And
it can be good. He's written very good movies.
He has written
it's
very
not
good movies.
An impossible leap to think that he's a good storyteller.
Look, Ethan Hawke he's an actor, so he's got an ear for dialogue, right? And he's got a sense of narrative structure. Right. And as you and I know and have talked about in the past, he was a co-writer on each of the before movies, before Sunrise, before
3.
Did I say 4? Oh,
yeah.
What an idiot. Sorry. Yeah, 3. So he was a co-writer on Before Sunrise, Before Sunset, and Before Midnight, which if you haven't seen those, oh my God, those are just absolutely brilliant. Anyway,
yes.
So he and Julie Delpy, both co-writers. So it's not unheard of. And it was the last, he hasn't written a novel since. He put out a couple of things. One of them was like a weird little like handbook or something. I don't know. It's just strange stuff.
He's a creative guy. He performs music, right? He's in like a band.
Right. Yeah. I did.
He's directed some movies now.
Yep.
Acts on the stage and for the film camera, and
writes. And, Yep. So anyway, Ethan Hawke's novel Ash Wednesday. The reason it's a guilty pleasure for me is that I don't think there's any probably serious literary critic in the world who's going to call it high literature. It's, the symbolism in it is pretty obvious. Some of the stuff kind of hits you on the nose a little bit heavily. But it's a good story, and it's well told. Yeah. I really like it, which is why Ash Wednesday by Ethan Hawke is my sticker pick for this episode.
Oh, nice!
And so if this is
remind us what our sticker pick
is the first time you're tuning in, our sticker pick it's a thing we joked about in episode 1. Was kind of like Oprah's book club. Oprah slaps her sticker on stuff, and that means it's got the Oprah seal of approval. So we had the lists sticker was a joke that we ran with, and then we actually Emily gets credit for this one. She was like, "No, you guys should actually do that." So every episode since then, we have given a sticker to each of us.
From each of us
gives a sticker to the work mentioned that we most recommend that other people check out. And so my sticker pick is Ash Wednesday by Ethan Hawke. I recommend that everybody check it out. It's a quick read. It's an entertaining read. It's not anything super deep. It's kind of one of those on the cusp of literary. It's one I recommend actually to a lot of my students who are kind of bridging that gap from like young adult literature to more serious literature, and they need and the reason I do it is because it was one of the books that bridged that gap for me. So it's really good. I enjoy it. I still have a copy. I still know where it is.
I can see my copy right over there.
I'm probably going to end up rereading it soon because I've just talked myself back into it. But so Ash Wednesday. I'm not, I don't feel really that guilty about it, but just, again, kind of in the same way that the Jack Reacher ones were for me. Just being an English teacher, that's where sort of the guilty aspect of this comes from.
Yeah, and again, I don't feel any guilt for any of my picks, so that's all
right. There's only like one of your picks that I think you should feel guilt for.
Well, maybe, but
otherwise,
I don't.
Otherwise, I will say no.
Okay, cool, excellent pick, excellent sticker pick. Ash Wednesday, I like it a lot.
Sticker pick, there it is.
Good choice. All right, top 4 now.
All right, here we go.
Okay, so my number 4 is a television show, and I'm guessing you've never seen it, so I'll have to describe this to you.
Okay.
All right, so the show premiered in Canada in 2016. There was a second season in 2017. Then it got canceled, but then Netflix saved it exclusively for 2018 for season 3, the third and final season. and it aired on TV in Canada, but then seasons 1 and 2 were in the US on Netflix.
Okay.
And it's all on Netflix right now, so you can go watch this when I'm done talking about it. And a thing about me is I'm a sucker for good time travel stories, of which this is.
Oh.
So anyway, the show is called Travelers. It stars Eric McCormick from Will and Grace, and then some young Canadian performers that I have not seen in anything else. Mackenzie Porter, Brad Wright, Jared Abramson, and others. But yeah, anyway, so it's a time travel show, right?
Okay. I did not know that you were a sucker for time travel stories.
Oh, really? You didn't? I am.
I had.
Done well. I like it.
Speaking of Ethan Hawke, and quick tangent, have you seen Predestination?
Yes, I have. Yes.
And? Yeah, I know. It's a whole lot of... It's got some interesting elements, but...
Yeah, I mean, once like the, ooh, what a twist, like wears off, you're like, eh.
Yeah, right. And it is a good twist, but...
It is a good twist,
and it's
I don't know if there's much else there.
It's going to mess with your mind for a little while. Like, you sit there thinking about it.
If you've ever seen the very low-budget time travel movie Primer, I recommend that a lot.
Okay, anyway, sorry. Back to your pick. I apologize. I just did not know that about
on Netflix. Okay, Travelers on Netflix. So why it's guilty is it has an element of like network TV, kind of like a CW quality to some of the drama. Kind of cheesy, teenish
it's crazy
drama,
that you say
if you know
that,
what I mean.
And I know exactly what you mean.
Yeah, so like CW drama-y a little bit to it, right? I think everyone knows what I mean by that. So it's got that going against it. But like the main time travel plot and the mechanics of the time travel and like the big plot points and like the main narrative are actually pretty good. I enjoyed the show a lot.
Okay.
So season 3, they thought there was like a 50-50 chance for a season 4. So they wrote the season 3 finale like it works as a series finale, maybe not perfectly, but then they didn't get picked up, so it's over. But there is an ending, and it's mostly satisfying. So I don't hesitate recommending you check it out. Like, it has an ending.
So how may I ask, did you stumble upon this?
It was just it was in my Netflix algorithm. It was sitting there for me, and I'm like, oh, okay, sure. And I turned it on. I'm like, I don't know. It's like a CW show, but the time travel is kind of cool. I guess I'll watch episode 2. And then I was like, well, all right. I guess that was okay. Let me try episode 3. And the next thing I know, I had binged season 1 and 2.
Right. So
right, because I discovered it in between season 2 and 3. So I had like 24 episodes on Netflix ready to binge. It's a good binge.
Okay. All right.
All right. So anyway, about the time travel. So it's cool. Like, there's a dystopian future. You know, humanity's really screwed up. There's not many of us left. Like, we're almost extinct. Right. And so it's set in present day, like 2017. And travelers are coming back in time to, you know, try to fix our screw up and save the world, right?
I wonder if there are any travelers out there right now trying to fix this crap. If so,
boy, they got their work cut out for them.
You're doing a terrible job.
But anyway, just, you know, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it's interesting how they time travel in the show. Like, it's kind of like they upload their consciousness in the far future as to like a data packet, right? Mm-hmm. And the way they time travel is they send it through the internet back in time, and you basically overwrite a human being's brain with a brain of someone from the future.
Oh, that's fucked up. You can't do that.
Killing the person.
What?
And taking over their body. And then their cover is they continue that person's life. So, like, a lot of the drama is the show is like,
hold on a
having
second.
to keep their cover up. Hang on, having to keep their cover up with like their wife or their roommate or whatever. Now, that sounds really fucked up and dark, right?
I'm pretty sure Scott Bakula already did this.
Okay, but how they get around this is that's inhumane to do that, right? So they can only travel back and take over someone's body who they know from historical record is about to die that minute. So like someone's like walking and they're like, they trip and they're about to like fall onto a lawnmower or something that kills them. And in that instant, they get overridden.
A lawnmower?
Well, I couldn't think of an example.
So actually, when you think about accidental deaths, you go right to the person's walking and they trip not under, but onto a lawnmower.
I'm sorry. Anyway, you get what I'm trying to say.
And I'm calling bullshit on this show, man. I remember that show. It was called Quantum Leap.
Okay, it's different, though.
No, it's not.
It's very different. It's a twist, and I don't want to give it away. How it's different. It's really kind of interesting when you learn more about the plan from the quote unquote the director from the future.
Mm-hmm.
In the end of season 1, it's a cool twist that really opens it up. And yeah, it's interesting. You know, they have missions. You know, where they stop. You know, on this day, you know, an asteroid hits whatever. We have to do this to fix it. And so they work in teams. So there's like a leader, there's a historian who like bred from childhood are like good at like perfect memories. So they like memorize the history of the world. And so they have all the dates and times ready to help their team out in the past. And there's like a medic. And anyway, it's interesting. It's a fun show. Time travel.
Okay.
Anyway, it's called Travelers. It's 3 seasons. It's like 34 episodes total. And yeah, it's fun. I really like it a lot.
All right. Well.
I mean, it's not like great. It's like a solid B+.
Listen,
but it's a fun binge. I recommend.
I liked Quantum Leap too.
All right. It's a fun binge. I really do recommend it.
Was this one you watched with Emily, or was this a solo Scott binge?
I binged the first 2 seasons. I said, you know what? I think you'd actually like this. She watched the first 2 seasons, and together we watched season 3. Yeah, so Travelers, kind of a modern Netflix Quantum Leapy drama thing. But it's good. Thanks for listening to Lists. This podcast is so much more fun when we get to interact with you. So send us your lists. Tell us when you agree or disagree with ours. Send us ideas for list topics for future episodes. Join the conversation. You can reach us directly by emailing us at listthepod@gmail.com. That's listthepod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. All of them are at listthepod. And you can always find every episode of this podcast, links to all our social media, polls, and all kinds of other fun stuff on our website, liststhepodcast.com. And now let's get back to the top 10 guilty pleasures. All right, what's your number 4?
All right, number 4. Okay, interestingly, and we went into this thinking we were not going to have anything similar.
Oh, really? We got a repeat?
Come on, you should have known we were going to have this one similar.
Masters of the Universe?
No. No, although I am wearing the Masters of the Universe t-shirt, as we talked about.
You got Star Wars books at number 4? Star
Wars books at number 4.
There you go.
Yep.
I figured we might have that.
Yeah, I have got a giant stack of Star Wars novels in my basement. And
I've read a good 25, 30 of them.
I regularly get boxes from my mother in Houston sending me, like, here, take your shit. And it's never anything cool. It's always my old Star Wars books. So for we kind of talked about these a little bit. For me, it started same place it started for you. I think for me, those are the best ones as well. The Thrawn trilogy. I will say, I kind of was aging out of Star Wars books around the time that the new Jedi Order series was starting.
Yeah, that was the same for me.
And it felt like that was going to be...
I guess spoilers for old Star Wars books, but I kind of checked out after they killed Chewbacca. But yeah.
Yeah. I remember reading. I vaguely remember reading that when Chewbacca died, and I was like, "Holy shit, that's a bold move."
Yeah. I mean, eventually they got so far beyond the movies, you kind of lost any real touchstones.
And you actually end up with a lot of, well, the children, Han and Leia's children become such important characters, and Luke's son, not, I doubt we're ruining it for anybody because I doubt anybody actually wants to read this shit.
yeah, probably.
But
you know what were really good ones was the Rogue Squadron books.
Oh, see, I have those, but I can't remember them really.
I really like those. That's where you meet. We're getting so nerdy here.
Yeah,
that's where you meet. That's where you meet Corran Horn.
Oh, okay. So one of Luke's. Man, all right, we gotta shut up.
We should probably stop
this. So what you're hearing right now is exactly why this is a guilty pleasure. And I'm about to make it worse.
Go for it. Why stop now?
So when I started teaching again 3 years ago, as we talked about with the Jack Reacher novels, I needed something to read while my students were reading. And I started kind of, I think it was that summer too, I had been reading a lot of really heavy literary stuff, like really dense. And even some like literary theory and stuff like that. Like I was really in the weeds, And so I was like, I really need a palate cleanser. And I had sitting downstairs, obviously, the Heir to the Empire, which is the first book of the Thrawn trilogy. And I was like, I have not read this since I was 10 years old. I am going to read this right now. And I sat down, I read that whole trilogy back to back. And since that time, I have kind of mixed in with my reading of like Jack Reacher and some of the other mystery nut writers out there and stuff like that. I will occasionally throw a Star Wars novel in there. For me, when I'm reading a work of literature, I'm always annotating, which is super nerdy and but that some people just have to do that, and I'm one of those people. It's terrible. I even annotate magazines. It's insane. Like I have a legitimate problem.
Oof, that's rough.
Yeah, I know. Right. Isn't that terrible? Like I annotate magazines. Great. Oh my god.
Okay.
Anyway, but
I hope you don't annotate Star Wars.
I do not. But... And part of the reason that I like to every once in a while read them is because it's one of the few chances I get to just lay down and just read a book. The same way that I would sit down and watch, some silly episode of
Commando. Yeah.
Wait, you don't annotate Commando?
No. It's annotated already for you.
That's true. Arnold annotates every scene.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the Star Wars novels are good for that, and that there's also a really obviously a big sense of nostalgia for me. As
of course,
this, our listeners probably don't know that much. It's not something I'm not gonna get too much into it, but like I was a really sick child. I have celiac disease, and for my entire childhood, it was undiagnosed. And so I was very, very ill all the time. And it was this mysterious illness that no one understood. And a lot of times people thought I was making it up. And it was always extremely frustrating for me. And I remember I always wished, I have this vivid memory of I had this wish that if I could just put my hand on someone's shoulder, they would feel what I was feeling for as long as my hand was there, right? And I promise this is coming around to the point.
Okay.
Because, like people didn't believe that it was as bad or as painful as it actually was. And I was like, I want people to feel this so they know what I'm going through. And I remember, so essentially what it did was it really limited my ability to do the kinds of things that I wanted to do. And so I spent a lot of time in my own world, in my own head. And a lot of that time was given over to Star Wars novels because I had exhausted the movies. I was older than playing with.
There were only 3 back then.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Yeah.
And, and I was past the point of playing with toys. And so for me, those were not only just a great escape, but it was this place where I could go and imagine what it would be like to just live on the Millennium Falcon. How awesome would that be?
Exactly.
I still
like these books, like so much of the appeal to them is they have built into them that you love these characters from the movies already.
Oh my God. It's such a freebie for the writers. Are you kidding me?
Such a freebie. Yeah.
They don't have to do much world building at all. Characters are all right there. But you know what? They still do. I'll give them credit. They do. They add characters.
Yeah, no. They're not
with
badly written.
Levels of success.
Yeah.
But anyway, for a sick kid, it gave
nice.
It gave me life.
Yeah.
It gave me.
Yeah.
It was just something I didn't have, and I always. It was really a great place for me to go mentally, and so there's a nostalgic element to it, and I remember, just
yeah.
Anyway, all that fun stuff, and
yep.
Yeah, those Star Wars books, they're entertaining and interesting, sometimes terrible, sometimes I'll read, now that I'm 35 years old, every once in a while I'll read one and I'll be like, oh, that holds up pretty well, it's not great literature, but it was a fun read. And other times I'll be in the middle of one and I'm like, oh my God, I can't do another page of this.
Yeah, some of them are pretty bad.
Well, and that's the great thing about it. You just toss it to the side and pick up something else. You're not deeply invested, So
obviously, I agree completely with you. It's on my list too. Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, we do have one the same.
All right.
Yeah.
That's probably going to be all we have the same, unless there's already more coming out. But we shall see.
Yeah. I think that's all we're going to have the same, but we'll see.
We'll see. All right, so now we're on the top 3 guilty pleasures.
Top 3.
Man.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, so my number 3, I'm first, right? All right.
Yep.
My number 3 is a movie.
Okay.
I'm in the 80s still. Came out in 1983.
It's fun. All of our guilty pleasures are from that age, from childhood.
Well, this
for
came
the
out
most
before
part.
I was born, but yeah. So I saw it later. So I looked it up. It has a 32% on Rotten Tomatoes. It made about $16 million off of a budget of $30 million.
Brilliant.
Variety called it a blatantly derivative hodgepodge of Excalibur meets Star Wars. And Siskel and Ebert on their show At the Movies gave it 2 thumbs down and called it, quote, one of the most boring, nonsensical, illogical fantasies in a long time, end quote.
So it's fantasy.
Yeah.
It's from 83.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen it, but I will fight you. I love this movie. All right. It is Krull.
Was what?
Krull.
Spell that.
Krull.
Krull?
Krull.
Oh.
Directed by Peter Yates. So yeah, it's like a sci-fi fantasy type.
What is this? I've never heard of this.
It's like a sci-fi fantasy, like hero's journey type movie, right? So our hero, it stars Ken Marshall as Prince.
Who the
Colvin
fuck
or
is
something?
Ken Marshall?
You'd recognize him from the 80s. By the way, Liam Neeson's first speaking role in a movie is in this. Yeah.
Go get him, Liam.
Hey. All right. So it's this prince. He's gonna marry the future queen, Princess Lissa, but then she's kidnapped.
Princess Lissa. That's awfully close to Leia.
Yeah. Anyway, she's kidnapped by enemy troops or whatever.
Jesus Christ. I'm looking at the poster right now.
Oh, the poster's fantastic.
This is an abomination.
No, it's so good. All right. So anyway, the main villain is called the Beast, right? And he kidnaps this princess and then he tries to make her marry him or whatever. So sometimes we cut to her like being tortured by the bad guy. But then the rest of the film is our prince finds his Obi-Wan or whatever he's called in the movie, and he tells him, "All right, this is what you got to do. You got to gather up. You got to go on this journey. You got to find the beast's castle and save her." But the thing is, with the castle, it like teleports. So every day it goes somewhere else new. So it's like really hard to find. And if you do, you only got like an hour of prep on the battle plan or whatever, stuff like that. So he has to find someone who's like magic and can tell him where it will be in the future so that he can show up right on time, enough time to break in and break her out or whatever. So along the way, he meets a cast of characters and he builds up, his team. And the end of the movie, they attack, the compound and they save the princess and defeat the bad guys, whatnot. All right, so why is it so cool? All right.
Is it cool?
Oh, it's cool. So he's got this cool weapon called the glaive. It's like a throwing ninja star boomerang type thing. So he throws this weapon and it cuts dudes down and then it flies back and he catches it. Right?
Oh my God.
So kind of cool.
It looks like a starfish.
Yeah. And there's a cyclops
running around chucking a starfish at this mermaid looking asshole.
Hey, all right. So there's like a cyclops on his team, and there's like a funny guy and
a funny guy.
Okay. I will say, as a kid, I don't know how old I saw this, maybe like 10, 12, right? Like the bad guys are scary. Like there's a lot of scary things in this. Okay. It gets pretty like gothic and cool and like kind of like Lord of the Rings, Star Wars-y, combined. So there's, let's see, what was I going to talk about? So that at the end, they ride like these horses that are like super fast. And when they run, there's like fire trails behind them. And that's pretty cool. And so some of the bad guys are like shapeshifters. So they turn into our good guy heroes and like try to infiltrate. And then as soon as people fall asleep, like try to murder them.
What was the budget on this movie?
Like 16 million.
Wow.
No, like 30 million. 30 million.
Looks like 16 grand.
No, it actually looks pretty good when you see it. Okay, so listen. All right, so the shapeshifters, right? Like there's a scene in the swamp where they kill one of the party and then they pretend to be him. And one of them with them is blind, but he can like smell that they're not right. And so he like the last minute has to run in and he like throws a spear through the dude's chest. And everyone's like, "What are you doing?" And then it dies and it's, shapeshifts back and it's like a bad guy. And it was very scary to me as a kid. And like the person that's going to help tell them where the castle is going to be next, like is trapped living at the center of a spider web of like a humongous 15-foot spider. And so one of the dudes has to like quickly go to the middle before he gets eaten. And then he talks to her and like spider's like waiting right there for him to come out. And she's like, "All right, the only way out is I turn over this hourglass and you've got until the sand falls out to escape. And then the spider will be able to move again and it'll eat you." And it's out there. But I'm telling you, as a 10, 12-year-old kid, I love this movie.
I'm telling you.
It is super cheesy, but it really had an interesting imagination to it. And like the production design and the cinematography and the music and some of the stuff was higher quality than it deserved. And I don't know. It's fun. And it's a bit of a cult classic today. I bet I'm not the only one who's heard of Crow.
I'm seeing right here that there's an episode of South Park where Jesus is throwing whatever the hell that thing is called.
The glaive.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So apparently you and the creators of South Park.
Now, Krull has become a bit of a cult classic. Like I said, it's got Liam Neeson in an early role. He he dies during the assault on the castle. But
Dude, spoiler.
yeah, I know, spoilers. But it's really fun. I don't know. It's got that great hero's journey structure.
Yeah.
It's got interesting elements, kind of scarier bits, more fantasy bits mixed in with like the Star Wars ripoff. And yeah, I really recommend it.
This is kind of the type of movie that Star Wars begat, right? There was this rash of fantasy, sci-fi, and they ranged in quality from like Willow, which is pretty damn good, to Krull.
The thing's much worse than Krull. There's much worse. This is probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, so like if you're in our age group before streaming TV happened and you only ever had to watch what you actually wanted to watch, you're flipping through TV, you see something that looks vaguely like Star Wars, you're going to stop on it for a minute. Soon enough, you're locked in, and 20 something 30 years later, you're talking about it on a goddamn podcast.
That's right. You're damn right. So they started filming it in like 1980. So like in between Star Wars and Empire, I think.
Wow.
So they were early on.
They were early copycats.
Star Wars.
Good for them.
Yeah. And they did a lot of post-production. It didn't come out until right after Return of the Jedi.
Star Wars.
Like a month after.
They did not invent science fiction.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, wow. Krull. I've never even heard of it.
You've never heard of Krull? Oh, I got to show it to you someday. It's fantastic.
No, I'm not going through that experience with the breathe right strip and the... I don't need you looking at me for an hour and a half making sure I'm watching.
That's not the type of movie that is. We can watch it with the lights on. It's fine. But yeah, for our listeners, Google Krull. Maybe type it into YouTube. Check out some clips. I think you'll see where I'm coming from.
Okay. Wow. So that's number 3.
Yep. I love Krull. It's my favorite like Star Wars ripoff movie from the 80s.
Do you own it?
I do. Yeah.
Wow. All right. I did not know this film existed until this very conversation.
You might not be the only one listening having that experience.
What was that?
And that's okay.
What was that movie with? And it was in this exact vein. It was like a little blonde girl and her brother and Ewoks.
That was by Lucasfilm. Like that was like somewhat official,
right?
Spin-off of Star Wars. Yeah.
What was that called? Because I remember that was the same kind of like production quality. It's just garbage.
Yeah, it was like Planet of Endor or something.
Because I remember watching that movie a lot when I was a kid.
Ewoks: The Battle for Endor.
It was just straight up called Ewoks.
It was called Ewoks: The Battle for Endor.
Oh,
yep.
Wow.
It was a 1985 television movie set in the Star Wars universe from a story by George Lucas. Yeah.
Man, that dude knew how to move merchandise, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I watched that movie too. Yeah. Krull is much better. Don't worry.
Well, just for anyone out there who felt like, I'd really like to get to know these Ewoks a little bit better.
Right. It fleshes them out for sure.
This is out there for you.
Along with this random annoying family with this dumb girl.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But you mentioned like how Krull had like a lot of things that like freaked you out and scared you. Like,
yeah,
I remember 2 movies really doing that to me that were, again, in this sort of sci-fi Star Wars typey thing. One of them was this one, because there was like the aliens and the villains were not cool. And then the other one was an early Tom Cruise movie called Legend.
Oh yeah, I remember Legend.
And Tim Curry played this like devil character.
Devil, yeah, the devil. Basically.
My God.
Yeah, he was scary.
He was freaking.
What about Labyrinth? Did that do anything for you?
Labyrinth didn't freak me out too much. I love Labyrinth. It's David Bowie.
Yeah, David Bowie's great, and Jennifer Connelly.
And David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly. We should not have to say anything else.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't know that by now, I mean, come on.
So I think those like Legend, Labyrinth, Willow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, there were just so many movies at the time coming out like that. What was the one with Dennis Quaid? Like Enemy Mine or something like that?
Oh, I loved Enemy Mine.
Yeah, remember that one?
He and the alien get shot down together.
Like they hate each other because one of them.
Then they have to get along. Yeah.
Right? See?
That was a great movie, yeah.
And all of these like sci-fi movies started coming out. And man, it's such a weird ass time to grow up.
It was. But anyway, I'm saying Krull should be on that list.
Apparently it is. All right.
No, seriously, it's really not bad. It holds up.
Oh, dude, come on. It holds up?
Yeah. I mean, as much as some of those ones we just named off do, yeah.
Okay. If you're saying...
That's what I'm saying.
There's no way it's up there with Labyrinth.
Well, not that high.
Okay.
But like Enemy Mine or whatever.
Okay. I can see like it being in the Enemy Mine camp.
Yeah.
Enemy Mine. Every once in a while.
Hey, that's a good movie.
I was going to say every once in a while that's still on TV, but who still has TV with...
Yeah, who watches TV anymore?
Yeah.
Heathens. All right, anyway. Number 3 for you.
All right, that was a good little walk down 80s sci-fi memory lane.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to Lists. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Google, Spotify, Stitcher, or anywhere else you get your podcasts. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss an episode. Also, if you like what we're doing, please leave us a rating and a review. 5 stars really helps us grow and get the word out, especially as this podcast is still really new. Thanks in advance, and now back to our top 10 guilty pleasures.
Yeah.
All right, number 3 for me. So this is a shout out to Becky, who I don't know if I'm ever going to be able to forgive her for this.
Your wife, by the way, you should remind the
my
audience.
wife, Becky. So this is a band.
Oh.
This band was in town playing at Bell's Eccentric Cafe, which is a really tiny, great venue. And we didn't go because my wife refused because she hates them because she sucks.
Wow. You know, she might hear this, but okay, continue. Number 3.
No, she knows how I feel about her when it comes to this.
All right, fair enough.
This is a big point of contention for us.
I see.
Number 3 is a band
brain.
from the mid 90s, early 90s.
Oh.
All right. I've mentioned them in a previous pod.
Interesting. I don't know. What is it?
Gin Blossoms.
Oh, the Gin Blossoms. Okay.
Yep. Number 3 for me, guilty pleasure. I will still put Gin Blossoms on in my car and jam it.
There you go.
Yeah, that's right. I will.
You know, sometimes you got that nostalgic kind of pop group that, you know, you were belting out those choruses along with, and you stand for them your whole life sometimes.
You know, no. It's just that they're awesome.
Okay, well, you're saying that. I was describing the actual thing that's going on here. But that's
I'm telling you, Gin Blossoms, and I am pissed off that I didn't get to go see them all with dad bods and bald heads.
Oh, that would have been great.
Yeah. How could that
you would have seen yourself in them for real.
Minus the bald.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. So Gin Blossoms for me. I just remember they pretty much owned...
What are some great Gin Blossom songs we should look up?
Dude, are you kidding me right now? Okay. All right.
Give our listeners like a top 3 or 4 they gotta Google.
Okay. Hey Jealousy. Right?
I mean, that's an obvious,
Obvious, right? Follow You Down.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Great song. I found out about you.
Oh, yeah, that is a good song.
right? Until I Fall Away.
How's that one go?
Pretty much just them saying that over and over again.
Oh, okay. All right.
But I will contend that Gin Blossom's song, As Long as It Matters, is a beautiful, really well written song.
As long as it matters. Okay.
Jesus. I type in Gin Blossoms into Google, and the first thing that pops up is, did the Gin Blossoms singer kill himself? Oh, God.
Because he was the lead singer of the Gin Blossoms, or what?
I better make sure he didn't.
Oh, yeah.
We
might have to edit this out. Uh-oh. He all right?
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Let's see. There's no way lead singer. Yeah, he didn't kill himself. He's good. He's going strong.
All right. Thank goodness.
Oh,
all right.
my God.
I love it. Gin Blossoms.
Yeah, Gin Blossoms. So they had their first album that really made it big was, my God, it was in 1992, and the title of the album, in typical like shitty grunge band
early 90s alt rock fashion, yeah,
was, are you ready for this?
I love it.
New Miserable Experience.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, and I forgot Allison Road. That's a great song too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're all Hey Jealousy, Until I Fall Away. Found Out About You, Allison Road.
I'll Follow You Down.
I'll Follow You Down. Yep. Man, so many good. Dude, the Gin Blossoms are awesome. People can screw off.
They're perfectly all right for that type of nostalgia. Yeah.
It's funny. Every time, and they're totally like a grocery store band now. So we'll be at the grocery
In other words,
store.
they're playing over the grocery store loudspeaker. Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. And their technically their third album, but it was called Congratulations, I'm Sorry.
Oh, such brilliant writing. I see why you love them.
Holy crap. This is so bad. But they come on in the grocery store and I just walk down the aisle singing it, and Becky gets so embarrassed.
Let's be real. She's already embarrassed all the time.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I like it. Number 3.
Gin Blossoms. Gin Blossoms.
I like it. I like it.
Way up
all
there.
Right, nothing but the top 2 now.
All right, let's hear them.
All right, so I'll kick us off. My number 2 is a book series. That's right. All right, so what to say about this? I don't know if you've read any of these, so I'll have to describe this a little bit.
Give me a genre.
Sci-fi.
Sci-fi. Oh, God. Yep. You're about to go down a nerd wormhole, aren't you?
No, it's not super nerdy. No, it's really not. So it is a series of books that tell one story.
Okay.
It is and I think they tried to coin this term, the publisher, a decalogy. It is a 10-book series.
Good God.
And I think I looked up, I got the page counts for like the hardcover editions. So over the 10 books, it totals 3,992 pages.
Right.
So about 400 pages a book, right?
Not bad.
Not too bad. The first one came out in 1985, and the last one came out in 1987.
An 80s sci-fi series. So you would have read it well after it was...
I read it in high school. I very vividly remember.
Wait a minute. So hold on. You said the first one came out in what?
85.
And the last one came out in...
87.
They were... So 10 books written in a 2-year period?
I think they were all done. The author died 3 months after the first one came out. And then the rest were published posthumously pretty quickly, right over the next 2 years.
Wow, well, that's a kick in the nuts.
Well, wait till we'll get there. So in 1987, the second volume was nominated for like the Hugo Award for Best Sci-Fi Novel or whatever. And every single volume, all 10, reached the New York Times bestseller list.
All 10? And you read this in high school when I knew you.
Yep.
Please tell me this is not like L. Ron Hubbard or anything.
It sure is, yeah.
Oh, God damn it. I knew it.
Yep. So I'm talking about the Mission Earth series by L. Ron Hubbard. So why they all reached the New York Times bestseller list is probably because the Church of Scientology engaged in a massive book buying campaign so that their guy would make the New York Times list each time, right? And I mentioned it was nominated in 87 for the Hugo Award. It was one of the 5 finalists. It was voted into 6th place after no award. It placed 6th in of 5 finalists behind no award at all. All right, anyway.
Oh my God.
But all of that aside, first off,
is it just propaganda for...
No, I have to say, it's nothing to do with Scientology. This is just straight science fiction. Like, it's not in there, okay? This has nothing to do with his insane religion thing that he started, cult, whatever. Okay, so these are just some sci-fi books, right?
Okay.
They are really fun, quick, easy, light reads, right? And they're very satirical.
I remember you trying to get me to read these.
Okay, so you do remember a little.
Yeah.
Right. So it's set in like the far future, and there's this galactic empire that, rules like hundreds of planets. And there's like a low-level shit job supervisor who happens to oversee this shitty planet that locally is called Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, and there's, it's 10 books. It's crazy, twisty, backstabby plot of alien invasion and saving it and whatnot, all that. Okay, but why they're so cool and why I like them so much and why they're such fun reads. They are narrated, I think all 10 entirely, by the villain of the story from his jail cell after having been defeated.
That's a pretty cool idea.
So he's like dictating to the leader of this alien race. He's like, "Your lordship, I gotta explain what happened," right? And he's like going through, and he tells the story, right? And so, you'll be at some scene and he's got some plan and you're only in his perspective the entire time. And the hero of the story, like the good guy, who'd normally be your point of view character, would show up with some magic sword and he'd be like, "How the fuck does he get that sword? And how is it beating my shit? What the fuck is going on?" Right? And it's hilarious. It's really funny. It satirizes like sci-fi novel tropes, and it satirizes like bureaucratic insanity in America, right, in the 80s, and like Cold War bullshit. And it's really funny. And since he's dictating it in his jail cell, he's not allowed to curse. So every time, and he curses a lot. So it's always written as like parentheses bleep or parentheses bleeping, which when you're reading it is sometimes even funnier. And it's really funny and clever, and the plots are inventive, and it's a page turner and very cynical, satirical, funny, and it's from this cool, perspective of like the mid-level villain who always loses. And yeah, it's really fun.
And your parents let you read this?
I don't think they knew what I was doing.
I was going to say, because right here it says the New York Times review of the first volume, The Invader's Plan, describes it thus: a paralyzingly slow-moving adventure enlivened by interludes of kinky sex, send-ups of effeminate homosexuals, and a disregard of conventional grammar so global as to suggest a satire on the possibility of communication through language.
It's so fun to read. I can't even tell you. Like our main character, who's not the main character, he's the villain or whatever, right? I think in like book 3 or 4 or something, he becomes the prisoner of like 2 man-hating lesbian aliens who both end up marrying him and torturing him in various ways. And he has to put up with it because it's some way.
We literally just figured out why teenage Scott enjoyed this.
It's so funny, though. It's generally one of the funniest things I've ever read.
That doesn't seem to be what the critics think.
Well, that's why it's a guilty pleasure, and I'm telling you, the critics are wrong.
Oh my god.
So anyway, the Mission Earth series of books is my number 2.
I see. All right. Number 2.
So what's your number 2? Give it to us.
That's way up there, man. Okay. All right, you ready?
Yep.
So you talked a little bit earlier about how no list of guilty pleasures would be complete without a reality TV show, right?
I sure did.
And I went back and forth on this because there was a period when it first came out that The Bachelor was my go-to because it was so preposterous and so predictable. So when I was in college, we used to get together with it was a co-ed dorm, so like a bunch of people from all genders would get together and we would watch The Bachelor, and I invented points and a system for playing fantasy The Bachelor. So you know how you can do like fantasy football and fantasy baseball?
Right.
So like someone starts crying, if you have them on your roster, you get a couple points.
Nice.
It was pretty clever. And it was always about making fun of it. So that's why I left it off my list, because it was always about making fun of it. Although it was a lot of fun.
Okay.
But anyway.
So what is your number 2?
My number 2, I actually watched an episode of tonight with my wife and my son. My son really likes it. And my mother watches it. And when I visit my mom, we'll watch it together.
I don't know. What is this?
America's Got Talent.
America's Got Talent. Okay.
You know why I like it?
Why?
Because it's like a circus.
Yeah, a little bit.
It's just like a circus on your TV. Like all these people think that they've got $1 million act that's going to run for like an hour and a half in Vegas. And I'm like, no. But how do you not understand that you're a 6-minute act in a circus that goes for an hour and a half?
Yeah. Like
obviously the auditions are fun to see all the people who are just horrific.
Right.
And they always got the ones that get you, like the sob story, and then the person comes on and they're absolutely freaking amazing at something. You're just like, holy crap.
Yeah, there's some decent editing.
So,
manipulative editing in those shows.
It's manipulative as hell. But so anyway, there's I spend a good portion being the grouch, and my son gets mad at me. He hates when I say anything bad about the people. I'm like, this is not a talent. You're just sitting there kicking yourself in the face. That's not a talent. Get out of here.
Right.
Nobody wants to watch this for an hour. And he hates when I do that. He gets so mad at me. He's like, Daddy, at least they're trying.
Yeah, listen to your son a little bit. All right, continue.
He's a very kind-hearted kid. I'm doing well with him, not well with myself.
Yeah, well, you've passed the point of no return.
His mother's doing well with him.
Well, that's probably true too, yeah.
So, anyway, but every once in a while, there was this dude that came on the other night, and I looked over at Becky, and I was like, holy crap. It's like when I was in college, if I'd walked into a bar on 6th Street or 5th Street and had seen that dude playing, I would have gone right up to the table and been like, give me a CD.
Nice.
I mean, so every once in a while you get, somebody decent, and then they take them and they ruin them by making them sing nothing but garbage pop songs and stuff like that or whatever. But
that's fine. A lot of people watch that show. It's very well edited. They know exactly what they're doing. And I can see that. Those kind of competition shows are popular for a reason. Yeah.
Yeah, they get you. They get you.
Yep, they sure do. All right, so here we are.
Ooh, Number one, number one guilty pleasures. I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Give me a category for yours, and I'll give you a category for mine, and we'll see if
Mine's
we
a
can
movie.
guess it. Yours is a movie. Okay.
Yeah.
Mine is a whole bunch. It's a category of movies.
A category of movies.
Yeah, in a sense.
Like a whole genre?
I would say it has become its own genre at this point.
Oh, all right.
So
I have no
yours is
idea.
A single film?
Yeah.
Have I seen it?
Probably not.
Dude, you're going to go obscure on me at number one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And it's my sticker pick. So you know what? I'm going to save it for last. You go ahead.
No, you don't. Come on, we're going in order.
Oh, really? All right, fine.
I don't have any vested interest in going last. If you really want to, I will go.
No, it doesn't matter. It's fine.
No, you can. All right. You know what? I'm gonna be a gentleman here because you called me a dick earlier, and I'm gonna prove you wrong.
Well, all right. Good luck.
All right. You ready for my number one?
Well, I'm curious. I want to try to guess it. Can I get any more hints?
I'll tell you what. There is a relationship between it and your number two.
Oh, series of. All right. What is it? I don't know.
It's kind of like a 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon type of thing to your number two.
Interesting.
So think about the author of your number two.
All right, L. Ron Hubbard.
Uh-huh.
Tom Cruise movies?
You're goddamn right, Tom Cruise movies.
Oh, nice. Okay. I'm glad I guessed that.
I have written all.
Well, clearly Jack Reacher.
Yep, Jack Reacher.
Yeah.
I loved it. My wife got so mad at me because
you mean mostly the bad Tom Cruise movies.
No, in parentheses, what did it say?
Why would you be guilty about good Tom Cruise movies?
I mean, because it's Tom Cruise and people feel like you should not enjoy anything he does because he's a lunatic, which he is, but I don't even care because he makes movies that are great.
Yeah, I think that's probably the prevailing opinion now.
I'm sorry. People can think whatever they want about him. And I'm not saying I like him as a person. I don't know him as a person. And you know what? Actually, I'm going to walk that back a little bit. You ready for this?
Yeah.
He seems like a nice guy to me.
From what I know of him, he seems like a weirdo to me. But a nice enough one, I guess.
He seems like he has some idiotic, lunatic beliefs. But
I don't know. There's some stories with how he's treated some of his spouses and whatnot that are not so great.
Yeah, that's true. But where are those in reputable sources?
Well, I don't know. I haven't.
All right, who knows? Well,
researched it.
The point is, we're not talking about Tom Cruise the man. We're talking about Tom Cruise the blockbuster superstar who has my entire life provided me with entertainment from Legend all the way up through the upcoming Top Gun Maverick, which I will buy tickets for the second they become available.
I'm sure you will.
I dragged my wife to watch the new Mission Impossible movie, and it was so gloriously terrible.
I liked the new Mission Impossible, yeah.
It wasn't it? It was, I mean, there were two helicopters.
The last several have been quite good.
But two helicopters having a dogfight in the sky.
I know.
And then after getting in a helicopter crash, the two guys have enough energy to scale a cliffside.
And then have a fist fight. Yeah.
It's amazing. It's
so much fun.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, the first Mission Impossible movie was just straight up good.
Oh, yeah. That's De Palma. That's a great movie.
Like, it was just a straight up really good movie.
That was not... It, like, is so divorced from all the other Mission Impossible movies. That's, like, not an action movie. That's, like, a...
No, it's a movie. Like,
kind of scary, dark spy drama.
Oh, and it's awesome. And Tom Cruise is awesome in it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Tom Cruise is great in everything. I mean, listen, Tom Cruise only plays one character.
He plays Tom Cruise.
He plays Tom Cruise. But you want to know something?
Yeah.
He plays the shit out of Tom Cruise.
Hey, yeah. Of course, he's an old school movie star in that sense.
If you don't like Top Gun, you can get out of my life. And I think I may have just divorced my father.
He doesn't like Top Gun? Come on.
You have to understand.
I know, he's a pilot.
My dad's a pilot, but I've never said this out loud. Oh boy, this is going to get me in trouble.
Do it.
I mean, I've already gotten myself in so much trouble with my dad, right?
Yeah, keep it going.
All right, here we go. You guys ready? This podcast has become about me pissing off my dad, apparently.
Apparently.
You want to know why I think my dad doesn't like Tom Cruise? And Top Gun especially?
Why is that?
He refers to him as Little Tommy. He hates Tom Cruise.
Okay.
I think it's because when Top Gun came out, it made flying like sexy. Like it made it a big thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Tom Cruise was like the poster boy for it. And my dad bears a very vague resemblance to Tom Cruise.
If you say so.
And I think that, oh my God, I'm going to get murdered. All right, here goes. 1, 2, 3. I think he's jealous.
Oh, jealous of little Tommy.
I think that he's jealous of little Tommy, and I think that's why he attacks him.
Interesting.
Because Tom Cruise rides motorcycles. Tom Cruise drives race cars. Tom Cruise flies planes in real life. These are all things my dad likes to do.
But Tom Cruise gets to do it while being paid to do it in a movie.
We're gonna get my dad on the pod. All right. And we're gonna talk about Tom Cruise. And I want to hear.
That's funny.
I want to hear.
It's funny.
And I'm gonna put him like on a couch like a therapist. And I'm gonna be like, let's talk about why
Talk me through. Yeah.
I want to hear why you really hate Tom Cruise. Was it because all the ladies were going crazy for him when they should have been going crazy for you? Which is why I hate Leonardo DiCaprio and have never seen Titanic.
Okay, first of all the ladies going crazy for Leonardo DiCaprio were never going to go crazy for you. That's number one.
I'm not even going to say debatable because it's not.
Of course it's not. You better not debate that. Good Lord.
You know what? Take it back.
We'll post a picture of you in our social media.
Debatable. It's debatable.
It's so not debatable. I think you've come around on Leonardo DiCaprio, though.
Listen. He got me with The Revenant. That bastard.
Okay.
That crafty bastard.
He got you finally.
But I still, to this day, have never seen Titanic because I remember all the girls in 8th grade going crazy for DiCaprio and me going, oh, God damn it. And I think that's what happened with my dad and Tom Cruise. I'm going there.
Interesting.
Look at.
Well, we'll have to resume this psychological profile later.
Right. Yeah. But so you have Legend, you have The Outsiders, you've got Top Gun. You've got all the Mission Impossible movies. You've got The Firm. You've got
Color of Money.
He started a movie with Paul Newman, which again, who's my dad's favorite actor of all time?
Paul Newman.
My dad's hero in life, Paul Newman. And who got to star in a movie with him?
Not your dad.
No, my dad.
Yeah.
My dad hates Tom Cruise because he wants to be Tom Cruise.
That's right. Edge of Tomorrow was a really good Tom Cruise movie.
Oh my God, I'm going to get kicked out of the family.
Minority Report, we've talked about before.
Oh, Minority Report, so good. Magnolia, he is exquisite in Magnolia.
Obviously, Stanley Kubrick's Eyes Wide Shut. I don't know why this is a guilty pleasure, though. Like, I think most people like Tom Cruise movies.
No, people hate Tom Cruise.
No, but most people like Tom Cruise movies, which is what's on your list.
Do they? I don't know. I feel like...
Well, you know what? We got some listeners. Let us know. Do you like Tom Cruise movies? Is this a guilty pleasure for Colby, or is this another ridiculous pick at number one for him?
Are you pro Tom Cruise, or are you anti-Tom Cruise? Man. Oh, he had that cameo in what was the best
Tropic
Thunder, which may be his single greatest thing he ever did.
Well, let's not get carried away. It was funny.
It was exceptional. My dad,
it was quite funny.
my dad flips out because in the novels, Jack Reacher's described as being like 6'5", which
And not little Tommy. Yeah.
little Tommy is definitely not 6'5".
I don't know if he's 5'5", but yeah.
But little Tommy's got 6'5" power. I'll tell you that.
I thought you were gonna say big dick energy.
You want to know what's funny? I was gonna say big dick energy, and then I walked.
I knew you were gonna say it. God damn it! All right.
I talked myself out of it. I thought
I said it for you then. So now it's my fault. You son of a bitch. All right.
I was about to say, but little Tommy's got, and I stopped, and I went, I gotta come up with something else.
Well, I saved it for us. All right.
All right. So little Tommy's got big dick energy. If you don't know what big dick energy is, you look it up.
Yeah. Well, he does. It's true.
You don't get to where he is without that.
Yeah, without some BDE. All right.
I can't believe you read my mind.
Yeah, that's a little scary. All right.
Oh my god. And I can't believe we're talking about this.
This podcast is off the rails. All right.
Number one, Tom Cruise movies. I'm all in.
I like it.
I love Tom Cruise.
I like it.
I hope the man just keeps going forever.
That is a very fun pick. I like it.
Oh god, I can't wait for Maverick.
I know.
I can't wait.
Well, you got the need.
The need for speed.
That's right. All right.
Well played. All right, I'm passing it to you, my friend Scott.
All right. Well, we should have maybe ended on that one. That was more fun.
Your number one and your sticker pick.
Yeah, so this is more of a serious choice. So this is a guilty pleasure.
You suggesting mine wasn't serious?
Okay. Well, you'll see what I mean. And it's my sticker pick, which again is we each pick one. It's the one we most recommend you seek out if you haven't seen it, listened to it, read it, whatever.
Obviously, we recommend everything we're saying, but
obviously,
this is the one where we really choose to be
putting a
most
sticker
emphatic on it. Yep.
Yeah. All right. So this is a great movie. And I've owned it for 15 years, ever since I saw it. I've watched it multiple times, and it's really, really, really good.
When did it come out?
1973.
73.
It's a blaxploitation drama crime film.
Oh.
It's a remake of the 1931 Little Caesar. It's called Black Caesar.
Black Caesar.
By Larry Cohen, came out in 1973. It stars Fred Williamson as Tommy Gibbs, an African-American. He grew up in Harlem in New York City. He was a shoeshine boy, and he was in like the rough neighborhood, and there's gangs all around, and he's like assaulted and beat up by this crooked cop named McKinney when he's shining his shoes. Anyway, then he grows up and he becomes, joins the New York Mafia, head of like a black crime syndicate in Harlem, starts a gang war with like Italian mobsters in New York City, all this stuff, right? And generally follows the plot of the classic James Cagney Little Caesar from the 30s. All right, so blaxploitation films it was a term coined in like the early 70s. It referred to a lot of black action films in the 70s aimed at black audiences. Often, all African-American casts, especially in the lead roles. They frequently had like anti-establishment, down with the man type plots. And they were often like condemned or brushed off for having, glorification of violence and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But there were, it's like, we're going to make movies for us, about us.
Oh, absolutely. It was just this. It was a way of saying we're not being represented, and we're not being represented as powerful.
Right.
We're relegated to these subservient roles or these just bullshit stand-in roles. And
right.
it was a reaction to that, and a damn good one.
Yeah. So anyway, Larry Cohen made Black Caesar. Larry Cohen was white, but he wrote it originally for Sammy Davis Jr., who wanted to play a badass in his own movie away from the rest of the Rat Pack. He was tired of being like the side character. But it didn't end up working for him. But it didn't end up working for him. So it stars Fred Williamson, who's not Sammy Davis Jr. He's like 6'5", big, huge guy. And the entire musical score of the movie, every song, every musical moment was written for this movie, for Black Caesar, by James Brown.
Hell yeah.
And it is amazing. This is his first time writing in music for a movie. And it's awesome. Like every single thing is scored by James Brown. How can it not be freaking cool?
Right.
And it's just such a great movie. It's like an hour and 25 minutes, right? He rises through the ranks and then he falls, right? He messes up. Like it has, his rise and fall. He gets a girlfriend and later marries her, but then thinks she's cheating on him, and then he like sort of rapes her, and it's not great. And then he falls from grace, and the movie ends. He's dead, right? And that was the original ending. He's beaten and robbed and killed by a black street gang, right, and left in an alley,
right?
But then they changed that because they put out a sequel the next year because it did so well. So it was removed from the general release, and a different ending was added. But now later on, the sequel is terrible. It's been restored, and that's generally accepted as the official ending. But there's a particularly great scene that I'm going to have to spoil to talk about. Later in the film, like he gets that same crooked cop that beat him up in the beginning on his payroll, right? And then he's kind of double crossing him, and he's like, "You're just a street rat. Did you really think I was helping you out all this time?" Blah blah blah. And so then he finally gets the upper hand on this cop, and he's like beating him and getting information. And then he sees his old shoe shine box, and he takes it out, and he takes the shoe shine grease and smears it all over his face, like basically giving him like blackface, and then beats him to death with the shoe shine box. And it's just a great scene. There's a lot going on bubbling under the surface of this film. It's really great. It's very cheap. And so it looks like it was shot for very cheap, and it was.
Yeah, that's part of what made these blaxploitation movies great, though, is that they were. Yeah, it was this
very like DIY quality to it.
Yeah. It was so indie. It was so like you could just feel the raw energy. Yeah, you could feel the energy behind it, which is what makes them. And they've lasted. They've lasted so long.
And this is a great story, and it's set to James Brown,
right?
And on that note of how it was so kind of DIY, they shot it in Harlem, right, on location, and they were getting like harassed by actual gangs. They're like, "Hey, you can't shoot here. You got to pay us if you want to shoot here, or whatever." So what the filmmakers did, they're like, "Yeah, okay, well, how about instead of that, we put you in the movie as gangsters?" And so all like the gangsters who have no lines or like a line are like actual gangsters from the streets of Harlem who like tried to shake down the production. And they're just in the movie. And
I know there was a lot of that in The Wire too. Not so much that they were trying to be shaken down, but it was a lot of like, "Hey, want to roll?"
Yeah. And I think at the premiere, like in Harlem, the movie premiered, and these gangsters are like walking in from the alleys and like signing autographs, and it was great. But anyway, it's out. You can find it on Amazon or iTunes. You can rent it there. It's out on DVD and Blu-ray. I own it, and it's just a really great movie. I can't recommend it enough. It is my sticker pick.
But let me ask you this: why is it a guilty pleasure?
It's heavy on the pleasure and a little bit guilty because it's very rough. It's, made for a few grand. It's super cheap. It doesn't really hold up in how it looks or sounds or anything like that. And it's, I think it's sort of forgotten and a little bit more of a niche, weird choice. And that was enough guilty in my definition from the beginning of this podcast, if you remember.
Yeah.
For me, and I really just wanted to talk about it, so I put it at number 1.
Who knew when we would get to a list where you could talk about?
I know. I'm like, this is sort of fits. I want to talk about Black Caesar and make it my sticker, so I'm going to do it.
I'm going to move it all the way to number 1.
That's right. Yeah.
Oh my God. These lists. You know what? Let's do a rundown just to see how insane these lists are.
Yeah.
Because
you want to go first or me?
You go ahead. Run yours down because I just am so curious to hear how they all sound together.
Yeah. Number 10, the TV show Law and Order. Number 9, the Thrawn trilogy of Star Wars books from the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Number 8, fighting video game streams. Number 7, the movie Masters of the Universe from 1987. Number 6, the TV show Property Brothers on HGTV. Number 5, the Arnold Schwarzenegger classic Commando. Number 4, the TV show Travelers. Number 3, the early 80s fantasy classic Krull by Peter Yates. Number 2, the Mission Earth Decalogy of books by L. Ron Hubbard, of all people. And number 1, Black Caesar by Larry Cohen, 1973.
Yeah, that's a hell of a list.
It's an eclectic list, that's for sure. Your turn.
All right. Number 10, I have the Magnificent Seven remake as a representative of all mediocre and shitty Westerns.
There you go.
Number 9, I have the Jack Reacher novels. Number 8, I have Coldplay's first 3 albums. Number 7, I have Norman Rockwell's paintings and drawings. Number 6, I have The Rocketeer. Man, I love The Rocketeer. Number 5, I have Ethan Hawke's novel Ash Wednesday, which is my sticker pick. Number 4, just like you had way down, I have the Star Wars novels. Number 3, I have the Gin Blossoms. Number 2, America's Got Talent. And number 1, once again, me apologizing to my father, I've got Tom Cruise movies, parentheses, all.
I like it. What interesting lists. I am looking forward to our listener submissions. Send us your lists.
Oh my God, I can't.
If they're as strange as ours, I'm really looking forward to reading them.
So did you have anything that just missed the cut or was in consideration?
No, not really.
No.
I thought about, and I don't know if you know about me. I'm really into nerdy, hardcore board games.
Yeah.
But I didn't include that on the list.
I did know that about you.
Okay, yeah.
Do you watch videos of people playing those?
No, I do not.
Oh, why? It's the same thing. There's points. It's like baseball.
All right.
Yeah, your argument just fell the fuck apart.
Whatever, Gin Blossoms. Let's keep going.
You know what? Until I fall away.
I'll follow you down, I guess. All right. So I guess that's it for this one, right?
That's it for this list. We are a wrap on top 10 guilty pleasures, and it was a non-guilty pleasure.
It was. I enjoyed it.
All right, let's take a quick break and talk about what we've got coming up next week.
All right, so next week on lists, we have the loser of the coin toss from a couple episodes ago. We're ready to go with my choice, and we're going to limit this one to movies only, right?
Yeah. I think that's fair.
Okay, so movies only. We're going to do the top 10 movies that made you cry.
This is going to be so hard.
This is going to be revealing once again.
See, this is not fair because you weep like a 3-year-old child at movies. And
You mean like an emotionally mature man? Yes.
Whatever it is. And look, maybe it is because I will give you that. Maybe you are more emotionally mature than I am. I often catch flack.
No maybe about it, but that's fine.
Whatever. I catch it from my wife all the time that I don't cry. Like, I just don't. I can't remember the last time. Well, I can remember the last time. But
earlier in this podcast while laughing.
She always jokes that, Daddy's misting. He's misting, like, because that's the closest I'll come to crying. And I remember in 2016, in November of 2016, my wife got very upset with me because at our wedding, I did not shed a single tear. At the birth of our son, I did not shed a single tear.
Yeah.
And at the birth of our daughter in 2019 or 2018, geez, sorry, Hadley.
Jeez.
2018. I did not shed a tear.
Yeah.
But when Chris Bryant threw that ball to Anthony Rizzo,
the Cubs to win the World Series, there was some misting, huh? Oh, I see.
Oh no, it was more than misting. I cried.
Okay. Interesting.
I didn't.
I don't think I cried actual tears at my wedding or the birth of my children either.
Just misted.
Okay. No, I don't think so.
Oh, I don't feel that bad anymore then. Okay. Yeah.
I don't know if those are necessarily cry events. You're just they're big and you're happy. Like, you're not necessarily crying at them. Yeah.
I feel like I may have missed it a little. I missed. I don't cry. I missed.
Well, okay. Let's go ahead and set the rule then. Like, these are the top 10 movies that figuratively made you cry.
All right. So would make you cry if you were not a robot.
Dead inside, right? Yeah. If you were not a husk of a human being who was dead inside like Colby, would it have made you cry? Yeah.
Hey, man, the Cubs make me feel alive.
Apparently.
They make me feel real alive this year with
rage. You may never be alive again. All right.
Oh, man.
Okay, so top 10 movies that made you cry. Any other restrictions?
Well, we know it's got to be movies.
Yeah. You didn't have to have literally cried. Just, the spirit of the category. We got it.
I don't think this would be an issue, but what if it was like if it's a remake, you can't have both versions of it, right?
Yeah. Just pick one.
And I'm not thinking of anything specific because I can't imagine that's going to come up, but
yeah, probably not.
I'm just trying to come up with rules so that we actually have rules.
I think this one's pretty obvious, straightforward. I mean,
the rule is pretty much in the list title.
Yeah, right. It has to be a movie and it had to make you cry.
Cry or,
Oh, you know what we should go over?
Whatever your version of crying is.
Right. You know what we should go over that we didn't last week for this list, but now I'm thinking of it. How are we going to order?
Oh, so, you're right.
Is number one the one that made you cry the most? Or is it out of the movies that made you cry, number one is the best movie? So how are we ordering?
That's tough. I think cry the most.
Cry the most? Oh, okay.
That's kind of what I'm leaning towards.
All right. Well, I can just agree to that. That's fine.
Feel the most feels. Are you thinking the opposite?
No, I'm fine with that. Yeah. Okay, let's order it.
You're a film guy. You're always going to lean towards going for the best film.
Yeah, probably. I guess I was leaning that way.
I feel like it would be more fun for the listeners if it's the number one is the movie that made you
cry the most. Yeah,
cry the most.
Okay, yeah. So we'll order it by amount of emotional reaction.
So yeah, but that sounds good to me. And let's get listeners. I want to hear what your lists would be, but I also like hearing suggestions because as I'm brainstorming, there's stuff I forget, and like Masters of the Universe. As soon as you said that tonight, Scott, I went, oh my God, man, I whiffed on that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I was wearing the damn shirt all day.
I know. What were you thinking? It was right there.
Clearly not much.
So help us out. We like to read your lists. Sometimes we cheat. You help us remember things we've forgotten. Send us your top 10 guilty pleasures if you haven't already. Send us your top 10 fictional detectives if you haven't already. Going back to episode 1.
Go back. Go through. Let's see people's lists. Or even, we've had a couple of listeners do really cool things where, you know what? You don't have time to do a top 10 list. You're a busy person. You've got a life. It's
like, these are the 3 I thought of.
In high demand. People have been giving us their top 3 or their top 2, or just their top 1. And no matter what, it's really fascinating to read. It's just cool.
Yep. We like to hear from you. Again, that's listthepod@gmail.com, @listthepod on all the social medias. And let us hear from you. There's no such
thing as medias. Media is the plural of medium.
Yes, I know. I was saying it in a humorous way.
I went there.
I know. I was saying it in a humorous way. You're so infuriating sometimes. I swear.
Where was the comma in that sentence?
I was saying it. Oh.
I'm messing with you. Shut up.
I'm going to edit all this out. This is going to be an hour-long episode.
People would probably enjoy it more that way.
Yeah, less of you, more of me. All right.
No, I don't think that's ever been the recipe.
Oh, my God. Can you please sign us off?
Oh, man. All right. Hey, listeners, as always, it has been our pleasure. We hope you're enjoying the pod. We hope you will go ahead and jump on and give us a rating. And we very much look forward to bringing you our pod next week.
Hit the subscribe button so you know the next one's coming up.
Yep.
All right. We'll see you next week for the top 10 movies that made us cry.